Good evening, NorCal Karts. It is Monday, January 17th, 2022. We're already 3 weeks into the 2022 calendar, and tonight we have a panel of guests joining us, and they are from NCK Road Racing. So the website, nckroadracing.com. And first, we're going to bring on Mark Morrison.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. And yourself? I look like a fat walrus there. Let me set up there.
There you go.
There you go.
We're going to use you for our clickbait.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Mark, are you still the president of NCK?
I think so.
You think so? All right. So, everyone, this is Mark Morrison, president of NCK. He's going to talk to us about the schedule tonight. There's a lot of exciting news going on with NCK. So, Mark's joining us tonight. And then next up, let's bring Larry Stevens. Larry, thank you for joining us tonight.
No problem.
So we have a drinking game at home. Every time Larry Stevens says Max's tires, you got to take a shot.
That'll work.
That'll work?
That'll work.
All right. And then next up, we have Todd Baker.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. So I know you from a kind of a different aspect than road racing.
Yes.
Because for years, I've seen you at the sprint track as a mechanic, helping out Run White Racing quite a bit. And honestly, it took me forever to kind of put two and two together. It's like, oh, man, this guy actually races. So we're going to get in your background as well, and you with the 250 program. And so thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to be here. I remember you and I raced at Buttonwillow, the big track, years ago. You were in the 125 group.
Yeah, that must have been the one time I jumped into Sonny's cart, and then Mark came running over yelling at me because I didn't sign the paper.
Yeah, I remember it's there's a video. Eric Maxwell has a video online when you're out there with us banging wheels, having a good time.
I was parking it in turn one. And then joining, last but not least, we have David Jones. David Jones, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, man.
So David Jones is on here. He's primarily a sprint guy.
Yep.
He's part of Team Visalia. His home track is the Buttonwillow kart track or Santa Maria. And the reason David's on tonight is he recently raced Thunderhill West. And so I wanted to have a sprint guy on to talk about the crossover differences between the two. And then hopefully a little bit later on, we'll have James Skyer joining us. So with that being said, let's get to it. How's everyone doing tonight?
Real
good.
Great.
Getting done for the day.
Yeah, and thank you, David, for the last minute
no worries,
jump on
man.
this thing.
No, glad to do it.
So, Mark, let's start with you. Let's jump right into the NCK schedule for 2022.
So this has been the latest year for us getting our schedule out. There's such a high demand on the tracks from all the organizations. So the schedule has changed probably 100 times in the last 3 months. But as of last week, we do have it finalized. We're still trying to add one more date in the spring, but our dates right now are February 26th at Thunderhill West, which is the 2 mile or just under 2 mile course. And then July 3rd, we're going down to Willow Springs and run the streets of Willows. We haven't been there in probably 12 years to run the streets. August 13th, we'll be at Buttonwillow running the big track at Buttonwillow on August 13th. And then October 1st and 2nd is Thunderhill. It's a 2-day event on the East track, which is the 3 mile course. So that's our calendar so far. This year, we're going to be adding a new class to our run group. We're going to have the Legends cars will now be running with NCK. And they are going to make all the races, including the 2-day Thunderhill. I'm still working on a schedule to actually get them fitted in on the way the format's always been. But they're going to run with us right now at the February 26th, July 3rd, and the August 13th date. And if nobody's seen a Legends, it's a 1,200-pound, 1,300, 1,500 cc mini coupe, and they're a blast to watch. Lap times, they're probably going to be just a touch faster than the 125s and maybe comparable to 250s. They'll mile an hour more, but lap times, our 125s and the super karts should produce a better lap time. But they will be fun to watch. And they're also going to have possibly a car for ride and drives. If people
answered my first question.
So if people will show in for that. Also for ride and drives, we're hoping that Aluminos Racing will show up again.
Okay.
For all the races with his equipment. That seemed to be a big success. It was a big success at the October or our 2-day date last year at Thunderhill. So we've already sent him some people that are interested in actually showing up and doing a ride and drives with him. So Rob Soares of Aluminos will be there in support. So we're looking to have a bigger and better event this season.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of neat when you have the arrive and drives and make it a little bit more accessible for guys that just want to, check out the road racing. I know Rob's kind of a shifter guy. He's known for the 125 shifter program that he runs, but I would imagine he would also have some tag carts available if that's more somebody's speed, trying to, learn the road racing stuff.
Yeah, for the first timers, we got to put them in a tag.
Yeah,
because it's already bad enough scaring them, getting them on a big track. So we don't want to do that. We want them to go out and have a good time and get out and say, "Damn, I love that. Let's do it again."
Yeah.
So,
they will.
They will.
And there's one that was the first time at Thunderhill West that I think all them guys, but they wet their pants at the end of the day. They had a blast on that track. So
yeah, I would agree with you. I think they did. All the Team Visalia guys had a good time that made it. And David, why don't you speak to that? Because was that your first time doing a road race?
Yeah, that was my first personal experience with road racing. When I first got into karting, I was doing track days with the BMW and stuff like that, and I was looking for something different, like to actually get involved with racing. That's kind of what I had pictured in my mind was the road racing, and I ended up going sprint, but the road racing was what I originally had in mind. It's a lot less violent. I think a lot of our team guys, they really love the road racing because it's pretty easy on your body compared to sprint racing. Like you get out there and you can cruise and you can push hard, but it just feels a lot different. And the top speed you're getting, it's exhilarating. It's fun. I think everybody would agree with me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was real happy you guys made the trek up.
Oh yeah.
And again, you being new to the road race thing, I think it's important to bring on that experience because my show is going to target the sprint guy. Most of my listeners are sprint based, and Mark and I have been talking about this for a couple of years. Like, how do we get more people road racing? And give me 1 second here. I got to type a quick note. And, it's like, how do we get more people trying the road racing? I know for me personally, it was getting used to getting up to speed. It's like you tell someone, oh, you're doing 100 miles in a go-kart. We all lie to our friends, right? We all tell our friends, oh, yeah, we do 100 miles an hour. But when you start thinking about road race, like, oh, shit, we really are going to do 100 miles an hour. For me, it was getting past that sense of speed and the helmet buffering and hearing the brake rotors spin up in the air. It's like all those things.
Yeah.
They were all just different. And then how the cart handled. It's like, oh, man, it's you think the cart handles good, and then you don't know because you haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So what was some of the – when you first went on the track for the first time, what were some of the things you were going through your checklist to make sure you didn't end up off the track, or you didn't put it in the wall or do something on your first session, being that it was road racing?
Well, number one, I figured road racing, you're going to need the cart to be a little less responsive compared to sprint racing. So we made front end adjustments, got a stiffer axle so it wouldn't rotate so quickly like a sprint track. That was the main first adjustments I made. And other than that, the first time I went out, I just took it slower. I was just, getting used to the lines and seeing just what I could do with each corner before I really pushed hard. And then I was fine until later. I did go off track, but I was all good. Both Rick and I went off on probably the fastest area of that track, and we were all good. So I don't think there's as much to be frightened of until you really start thinking about it. If you overthink it, I think you'll get to a bad place with it and not want to do it. But otherwise, you're good.
So you went off between turns 1 and 2?
Yep. I slid about, 50 to 100 feet or something, but it was all good. Cart was fine.
Yeah, my first day out there on that track, I did the same thing. I missed the apex going into 1, and didn't really know where the apex for 2 was, and the cart just didn't turn.
Nope.
And I was way out there, and then I remember the dust settled, and I see another cart flying at me. I was like, "What the hell is he doing out here?" I thought I was the only one that far off, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was just a long, fast slide. The cart didn't go, it didn't grab an edge or anything. It was just, I tore my floor pan, the bottom of it up. Everything stayed intact, but the scraping noise and everything.
Yeah. I think that's what most people expect is if you're going at that speed and you go off, everyone expects to turn over, but it didn't happen to me or anybody else that day. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone had a really, safe, fun day that time.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of going fast and going off the track, let's bring Todd Baker on. So Todd, you're a 250 laydown guy.
Oh, no, it's a supercart.
Oh, supercart, yeah. So I mean, you're the one that has the wings out there, the full body work. You and Mark run in the same class.
Yes.
So talk to us about road racing in the 250. Should a brand new guy jumping into 250 because it's the biggest, baddest cart on the track?
Probably not advisable. I've run everything at Thunderhill. We used to what was called a classic Yamaha. It was 4 number panels and some Nerf bars, and now I've got this big beast with carbon fiber stuff. Just got a little more expensive, but they're a lot of fun. The biggest thing somebody would notice is the braking capabilities. They brake like there's no tomorrow. Now it's a little slower with my husky physique in the cart. I weigh a little too much for the class, but so I'm carrying an extra 100 pounds that I don't really need. I could chop off both legs and still make weight, but so I'm giving up quite a bit of speed when it comes to that, just to get accelerated off the corner, stuff like that. But they're very fun to drive. It tires you out. It'll start driving you if you're not careful, if you're not in decent shape, which I'm not yet. So you'll find it 12 laps in. It's like, wait a minute, who's driving who now? But,
those can pull a little more G-force than the sprint carts, right?
Yeah. The braking's the braking's incredible. When you hit the power of the brakes on, if you're not prepared, it will spit you out of the seat if you're not ready, or it tries to. So, but they're a lot of fun. The bigger track, the West track that David, the track that you guys came on.
Yeah.
The supercart, that's a little bit. It's not tight, but it's a big machine to get. So the lap times are a little slower than say the 125. The ICC classes are a lot faster, or not a lot faster, but they're maybe a second quicker than the supercart. But they're also 60 horsepower and they're carrying 150 pounds less weight. So, and that track is pretty tight. There's several corners that aren't conducive, and it doesn't have the really long straightaway like Thunderhill East, where it gets you. The supercart gets its legs at the end of the straightaway. I think I can do close to 120 at the end of the straightaway.
Man,
At that bigger track now, I think it's right around 102 at the west track. Before you make I did loop my supercart in the same spot you did. So it's a little frightening. I hit the curb and all of a sudden it's off camera going into the second corner, going up into what I call the toilet bowl up there. And it was, I was just along for the ride.
So for the new guys, let's talk about Thunderhill West. What's the trick in getting through there fast, Todd?
Just being smooth. when you come off the hill, I'll call it, coming back down the part of the 5 mile track when they group together, you hit the bottom of that corner down at the bottom. You're doing in the supercar, I'm doing at least 100, 105 at that spot. And if you can get through there and keep the roll speed up, it's a flowing track. Once you kind of get a rhythm going, you can get a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. That's how I did it. A 118, I think, in the supercar, but there's a Yokopo that was with the Luminos the last time out, did a 115 with the 175.
Yeah.
And that's fast. I think he did somebody did a 117 with the Rock engine out there. So it's a very quick track. It's just, and those people have a lot more seat time. I mean, I've driven out there, but like I said, the supercar, because of the weight, getting it slowed down, getting it revved back up, I'll call it, because the straightaway is not really long. It's a little bit, it's not, I really like the track. I turn my best lap times there compared to any other ones, but it's really not, I shouldn't say supercar friendly, but it's really not the type of track for that kart. I'll drive it there any day of the week when we rent it. That's for sure. Because I really enjoy it, but some people don't like it because it's not big enough. But.
So why don't you give the supercart guys, give them your best sales pitch on why they should run Thunderhill West?
Because it's fun. It is a fun. It's like I said, it's a very flowing track. You get on the backside and you start the little switchbacks left and right on the S's back in there, and it is a blast. And when you come up to the last corner, I'll call it, it's not the last corner, but it's probably a 180-degree corner, and you got to get into first gear, and you need to get that corner right, because if you come out of there and you don't carry enough speed, it'll just bog down in first gear, and it kills the lap time.
Yeah.
But you're going in there like it's crazy. It's, wide open till you see God, and then you hit the brake pedal and hope it makes the whole left turn and you get through the corner. So, and then coming on the front straight, it's really fast as well. Coming the last left-hander coming on the straightaway.
Now, in the 250, do you like the bypass or do you like the infield?
I like the infield. I don't like the shorter course, I'll call it, where they avoid that teardrop in the middle or the last corner. Yeah, I really like it'll be faster the other way, and it's probably less torture on the body. But as far as fun and physically driving it, I like the extra corners.
And then before we bring Larry on, I'm queuing it up real quick. Hopefully you guys don't hear it on your end, but let's see. Our buddy Joe Hollinger.
Joe.
He does the YouTube video. So let's see if I can get it queued up real quick, and we'll bring it. That way our watchers can kind of see what we're talking about with Thunderhill West. Give me 1 second here.
Also, if anybody has an older shifter kart, you can be competitive, and when you get in the draft with about 5 or 6 of your buddies, it's a blast. I've been in second place, and with 100 yards from the start-finish line, ended up 7th. So you find out who your friends are when they all draft by you and just kind of wave. So sometimes they don't even wave. No courtesy at all, passing an old man.
No courtesy at all.
No courtesy.
Oh, absolutely not.
Let's see. Let's see where we queued this up. So this will be the Thunderhill West track.
Oh yeah, I recognize it.
They put that little diamond patch of concrete in there, which made it really nice.
That's a smooth transition.
Yeah. This is the part I'm talking about. This is real flowing, so if you can get a rhythm going, it's really fun.
And then this is the CR125 class that we're watching here, and then we're on board with Joe Hollinger.
Right here, when you hammer on the brakes, this is the corner I'm talking about. You gotta get this right. It's a very wide track as well, so there's a lot of room to have some fun.
I love how wide it is.
Yeah.
And the south camber turn too. There's a lot of people in trouble.
Do they run up on the curb there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know for me, before I went out to Thunderhill West, I must have watched, I don't know, 10 or 20 hours of just videos, just trying to see if I could pick up some things from the video before going out there. That, you know, how the carts were reacting if they went over the concrete, that triangle area, how far guys were drifting it out. And yeah, if you're thinking about doing the road race, I would highly recommend getting on YouTube, figure out what track they're going to, and find video because it's going to be out there.
I watched that same video before I went.
Yeah.
But that's a good track if it's your first try to do road racing. That track is excellent to go out on. It's just it's a sprint track on steroids.
Yeah, it's really
fast. So a lot, like you said, David mentioned, there's a lot of runoff to, if you get off track, there's no guardrails or anything else to run into. So it's a lot. It's fairly safe as well. It's not like say Sears Point or Laguna Seca.
And then also in the road racing, it's more about strategy than it is trying to win it in the first race or in the first turn too.
Yeah.
So it's learning the draft, who's going to be faster than you, and then you just sit back and just play the game and try not to beat yourself. So it's really fun to watch the strategy of a lot of the drivers on how they do it. Some people will sit there, they can go to the front and they'll sit there back there in third or fourth place as long as they're in the draft. As Todd said, he's went from first to last on the checkered flag. So it's good to learn what your opponents can do. So it's really fun strategy too, road racing.
And they were my friends up until that point. So
that's right.
Well, speaking of momentum and strategy and just kind of the nuances of road racing that are a little bit different than the sprint stuff, let's bring on Larry Stevens. Larry, you run the tag class.
Yes, I do.
With the NCK group. And I would have to imagine if it's similar as it is to sprint, in road racing, I would imagine momentum, strategy, all these other things are more crucial in the tag class than it would be possibly in the shifter stuff.
Well, definitely, because we have to keep our cornering speeds up to keep our lap times down. You do have to be smooth. I think it's the best class to start off in right now, and it teaches you to keep your momentum up in these corners. I have a pet peeve that brakes only slow you down. In the shifter classes and stuff, they tend to be more advantageous to be able to use them. You don't want to use them in tag anymore than you need to because you scrub speed. So you have to keep your speed up in the corners. And top speed down the straightaway. On the big track, I've seen 97, 98 with my Rock GP motor. That's a non-shifted motor, single speed. And it's just a lot of fun.
So speaking of the Rock GP engine, in the tag, I'm going to let you step in on this because I'm definitely not a road race expert by any means. And anyone that knows Mark and I's conversations, it took me an hour just to try to register because I couldn't figure this stuff out. And he's all, dude, it's all on the website. But in the tag class, you mentioned the Vortex Rock, and you guys are allowed to run mixed engine packages out there.
Yeah, we, in fact, let me see, I wrote these things down for all of them. You're able to run the old Leopard, the old PRD motor, the Rotax, and the X30, and then the X125, and the Rock GP, and the older Rock TT motor, which not very many people have those anymore. I think Larry O'Neill is probably the only one. And Motori 7, that's another motor. And there's different weights for those particular motors, but there's the most current motors are the Rock GP. That's the latest one that's out that people are getting, and also the X30. You can make them work on any of the tracks. You just got to gear them differently. And most people will help everybody that's coming in new and giving them a starting point. And it all depends on driving style and all that, where you have to depend on where you're going to set your gearing, because it's very critical. So as far as getting off the corners and your top end. So bottom line is just learning the track, because the more time you spend on every track, the faster you're going to get. You're going to learn your apexes on every corner. And but those are the motors that we use. And the weights range from 400 pounds for the Leopards. Let me see, we got 400 pounds for the Leopard, the PRD, and the Rotax. 405 pounds for the X30 and the X125. And then 415 for the Rock GP, the Rock TT, and the Mortori 7. So I don't know if we're going to be changing. We talked about this, possibly changing the weight on the Rock GP. Mark and I were kind of discussing it for this year, dropping it to maybe 410, because I know that WKA, I believe, is running them at 410. I think they even went lighter this year.
So we just had a comment come in from Josh Velos. I road raced one time in Sonoma with Cambrian on a Mortori 7, and it was nuts. The draft was pretty incredible. So why don't you talk about the draft when it comes to, and we'll go around the horn on this one. So we have Larry up with the tag stuff. Why don't you talk about driving in the draft? Maybe address it to the newer guys, some strategies, just so you're safe. Just so it's a comfortable ride.
Yeah, the draft, if you find somebody big like me, I'm kind of like everybody likes to get behind me because I stick up a little higher than a lot of the other guys in the class. And so that creates an area behind me that actually will draw a cart up from as far as, probably 40, 50 feet. It'll draw you up pretty quick, enough to be able to pass you, because there's no wind resistance. So you can ride back there at partial throttle when you're in the draft. When you can actually feel it, but you're pulling you, and you can actually save fuel doing that. That's part of the strategy too. Instead of leading the whole race, if you feel comfortable enough to where you think you're faster than most of them, you can sit back and wait till the last lap and draft by the people that were in front of you. So that's all part of the strategy. It's comfortable. You don't want to be no more. I know in our club and in most clubs, there's no bumping allowed, where you can push somebody, gain speed for both of you to maybe catch some other carts that are out in front, maybe 100 yards away. You can actually run them down if you pair up together. And it's quite fun if you can find a partner to do that with. It's just like NASCAR. They got bigger cars and stuff, but like I said, a bigger person will actually have more wind resistance, which will open up an area where you can just tuck in and follow, and be comfortable. Just don't get too close. Usually around 3 feet, 2-3 feet, somewhere in that area, without touching the bumpers.
Yeah, you guys don't like contact out there, do you?
What's that?
You guys don't like contact out there.
No, there's really no reason for it, because the speeds we're traveling, you have to respect the speeds, and most of the guys in the class do. Most of the time, it's really good, clean racing. Once in a while, we'll have somebody will dive bomb a corner on you. But since the races are so long, you have time enough this is part of the strategy too, you have time enough to sit back and watch what's going on. You don't have to make a pass. An old race director told me one time when I first started off, if you got to think about doing it, don't do it. Save it for another time where it's a safer area on the track, So, yeah.
So there's some good tips there. So let's bring the new guy on, David Jones. Did you have a chance to experience some of the draft when you went out there at Thunderhill West last year?
I did get in the draft. It was a lot different. Like, I hadn't been in that before with sprint racing, and he's right. It does kind of pull you in. It's just, you can feel the difference. Like, versus going down that one hill, you'll feel your helmet buffeting. You feel that wind resistance, and you get in a draft, that goes away. It's different. I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I like that. And he's right. It does give you an opportunity to pass. You can kind of, if you get in a draft, you can slingshot past him at the end when it's getting into the braking zone.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, David Jones runs a You were on a CR 125 at Thunderhill West, correct?
Yeah, I ran a CR 125.
Yeah, so you were in the shifter class, so
Yeah.
the CR 125.
Yeah, it was
And
a lot
then
of fun.
let's bring on Todd and then Mark. Todd,
Yes.
the Supercart 250 guy, the draft. What's it like?
The supercarts, I've only actually experienced this last year with two of my buddies. I actually got to race two different races, and we were kind of nose to tail, and it's the first experience in the supercart like that. But there's not that many of us out there, so sometimes people are running better than others, so we don't usually get that opportunity. But like Eric Maxwell just chimed in on there, the draft is necessary to win or get up front, but timing it and figuring out what to do with it once you get there is also, if you're driving along and you see one of your buddies or one guy goes to the left or right of you and goes to pass after down the straightaway, I'll guarantee you there's going to be three other guys stuck to their bumper that are going to go right behind him. So a key point when people come out, Mark mentions it during the drivers meeting, is if you see one guy going by you, don't think you're just going to make a left and tuck in behind him, because there's not going to be an opening. There's going to be usually 3 or 4, maybe 5 people that are just going to shoot by you, like I mentioned, that's happened to me. And you just got to relax, suck it up, and get back behind that tail or get back in that queue and see if you can do it to them at a different point somewhere.
Yeah, and that's another good tip, again, for the sprint guy that may want to go try it out.
Yeah, like Larry said, sometimes you come into the corner, said at Thunderhill East, everybody's doing 100 or more going to that corner, and you don't want to just kind of stuff it in on somebody. It's usually, even coming out of the last corner at Thunderhill East, if you hang back about 30 feet from the guy, about halfway down that straightaway, you'll get that really strong draft that's pulling you forward, and you can do a double move, make like 2 rights, and get away from him so they can't get back behind you if it's just a single car, and you can usually get by him. If you're right on their bumper going to the flag stand and you're 50, 60 yards away and you try to pull out, you're never going to pass him. You've got to have a gap, say 20 feet behind the guy's bumper, and time it just right. So you're going to pull up on him, get as close to that bumper as you can, and then either make a left or a right to go around him. And that'll usually give you enough speed to pull about a half a cart length ahead at the stripe. But if you're too close, it's just not going to work. You got to give yourself some room to get that little bit of a slingshot, I'll call it, effect that. But the supercarts, like I said, I've only had it happen twice now. It was a blast, but it was a whole different world now, because now I've got all these wings and stuff, and they're not doing what they were doing before. So yeah. it's kind of a Formula One S thing where now you don't have as much front grip because somebody's taking it all the way with that big front wing on them. So
that's true. Yeah.
It was a different experience. It was so fun. Like I said, I thought it's Jim White, who's the guy I was chasing around, and Ronnie Hawkins. So I had a good time. Both those guys I know really well. And that's one thing with the road racers. It's a bunch of old farts, and there's a lot of respect. People don't try to, it's not the youngster trying to be the next Jeff Gordon, for lack of a better term. So when you get out there, racing, mind your P's and Q's, and everybody gets along. So.
Yeah. And then Mark, we'll bring you on, talk about the draft. Again, you're in you raced the 250 as well, the Supercart 250. You also started doing the tag racing towards the end of last year.
Right.
Address this question. Sean Bond just chimed in. Point before you pull out for safety. Is that a wide practice in road racing? If you're gonna go left or right, are you pointing to a certain direction? Maybe the Supercarts it's a little harder because you're tucked down in there. But
in the Supercart, it's really kind of hard because you're not laying down in the cart, but you're really laid back. So, and then when you're in that position, you're going to turn your head from straight, maybe 30 degrees, but you're not going to be able to turn your head at a 90 to see who's beside you. So it's a courtesy to point. But usually everybody knows their surroundings. And of course, in road racing, if it's hold your line. It's if you're going to get past or you're going to pass somebody, it's up to you to pass that vehicle safely. It's not the person in front of you to point which side he wants you to go by. And unless you know he's right there, then you point him. But other than that, it's up to the person that's going to pass the car in front of you safely. And most of the time it works. The draft in the supercarts, I can suck up behind a sprint cart way easier than I can suck up behind another supercart. It's just the way the air is behind the carts, because it's really with the wings and the way the air is funneled through in the diffusers. It's the air is actually really dirty behind the cart, so it's a little tougher for it to suck up.
Okay.
Do you have to be in closer or?
Yeah, you got to get really close to feel it. Because with the wing on a supercart, it's creating like about 350 pounds of downforce, and then we have little winglets above the rear tires, and then there's diffusers under the cart. So once it gets to a certain point, then the air gets really dirty. So I can feel it, when I get maybe 30 feet to a supercart, I can feel it. But in a sprint cart, the air's the hole is being opened up way wider because they're not using any aerodynamics to channel the air through them other than the driver's fairing. But when we're all 200 pounds and you're half a sheet of plywood going down there, the air just creates a big hole in a sprint cart to where the supercart punches the air, but the air behind it's really dirty. At Daytona, we drafted a couple times, and it was anything over 120 miles an hour, you couldn't really feel the draft at all, unless you pulled up behind somebody. Now the little enduro carts, the flat carts, they would suck up and get right on our bumpers. But the draft in a supercart's way different than a draft in a sprint cart. Now, what Larry said, in the draft in a sprint cart, you've got to be careful or you'll run the guy over if you're not used to it.
Yeah, you'll be putting the brakes on.
Yeah. So
your closing speed is that great when you're in a sprint cart? When you actually tuck in behind someone on the draft?
Yep.
Yep. You're on a 30-foot wide track, and the guys are more patient. They respect the speeds, so it's not like sprint races. It's not like you only got 8 to 10, 20 laps to run. It gives you a lot of time to be patient. Patience is a virtue in this sport, Plus, we're not racing for any cash. We're doing it for fun. We like in the tag, 100 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour down a straightaway. To me, I got used to it pretty quick. It's the cornering speeds you got to get used to in all the classes, So, but the straightaway speeds, it doesn't seem like you're going that fast until you get to the corner.
Or when you drop a wheel.
Well, yeah. You get out of control, or somebody gets into you, or something like that. Yeah, it can be dangerous. So that's why a lot of the guys just kind of stay away from one another as much as possible. And like you said earlier, the strategy of you got to be there at the end to win the race. So you might as well just keep your equipment in check. Stay smooth, try to get faster every lap, and keep track of your competition that's around you, and know your competition around you, the way their driving style. That's because some people, sometimes they don't think, as much like they should before they make a move. But so if you know your racers, that's like in anything. It's easier to drive when you're with somebody you have confidence with. They know you. They know what you will do in a situation.
Plus, too, you've got 20 minutes for your usually 20 minutes of track time for your run group in your race. That 20 minutes, depending on what you're in, equates to 25 to 35 miles a session. So you've got the time to think about what you're doing, and you've got the time to sometimes catch back up if you make a mistake. So it's not a super fast sprint race. So, it is. I always tell people it's a chess game, and just play chess and be smart about it, and then you'll have fun. So it's really enjoyable to do it. The tag guys, if you watch the tag racers, they stay in packs, and they usually run really good in the packs. The 125 guys, depending on where we're at, they'll run in packs, but then there'll be a group that will break off and try to make a pass halfway through the deal and end up in the back of the line. the best people to watch, we call them tater diggers, is the 4-strokes.
19 wide.
Yeah, you get 25 clones, whatever out there. They are bumper to bumper. Looks like a freight train going through there for the amount of time. And when it comes time for all the marbles, they wait until the absolute last second and they fan out to see who gets there first. And it's really fun to watch them and how they strategize through the whole race to gain a position. And so it's all strategy.
Yeah, the run times on most tracks, the difference between the tag carts and the 125 shifters, and even some of the super carts, the tags are about 10 seconds slower than the 125 shifters, 8 to 10 seconds slower for the faster drivers. So that's on almost every track, depending on the length. But the 3 mile tracks, like you can run a tag on the 3 mile track at 2 minutes and 10 or 11 seconds. That's a fast time. And on the west track, you're going to be running in the tag. You're going to be running somewhere around on the big track, the 2 mile, right around a minute and 26, 27 seconds. Those are quick times. Now, as far as the supercars, because they got more weight and everything, I don't know what their times are. Mark's going to have to chime in on that. But the shifters are, like I said, usually about 10 seconds slower than me. Faster than me in the tag. The west track, like I said, 127. So you guys are, I think Vince ran a 117, Vince Pulio, when he ran that track one time. So that's a good comparison.
Yeah, and the super carts are 116, 117, somewhere in there. So actually, if we combine the 125s and the super carts together, I'll actually have the 125 start in front of the super carts.
Yeah.
Because in an average, they're faster through the turns. Now we go to the east track on a 3 mile track. A good 125 is going to run a sub 2 minute lap, probably 158, 159, somewhere right in there. A super cart's going to run a 153, I think. And then a super cart's top mile an hour on the 3 mile track is going to top out at about 122, 123, and a shifter's probably going to be around 110. I'm thinking right in there. I'd have to go back and look. But when you get an average lap time and it's over 100 miles an hour per lap, you're moving.
Yeah, we're running average around 82, 83 in the tags on the big track.
Yep.
And that's your average. Yeah. Well, speaking of tracks, we're going back and forth between, and we have Larry up, so we'll let you continue go around the horn again. Out of the 4 tracks you're going to visit this year, you have Thunderhill West, Thunderhill East, Buttonwillow, and Willow Springs. Streets of Willows at Willow Springs. Larry, what is your favorite track out of those 4?
I'm the kind of guy that likes driving them all. As far as a favorite, I feel it's a challenge, whatever track is up there. Up on Thunderhill, I like the big track, the 3 mile. Out of all of them, I never run the streets. I wasn't down there for that race. Buttonwillow, I really like that track. Since I probably run Thunderhill so many times and not Buttonwillow enough, except the Nationals there, I think in 2010. I like Buttonwillow a lot. I wish we could go back there more. But I'll race anywhere.
But you'll race anywhere.
I'll race anywhere.
Mark Morrison, out of the 4 you're going to visit in 2022, what's your personal favorite?
My actual personal favorite track is Thunderhill East on the 3 miles.
Thunderhill East on the 3 mile.
And then that's my favorite track. Buttonwillow is a super fun track to run. It has its speed, it has its technical, And it's actually a blast to run, but I think we've been there once since 2010. I think we did the nationals, and then we ran there one more time, probably, I want to say 8-9 years ago. So they're actually looking forward for us coming down. So that's going to be a blast. The streets are similar to Thunderhill West. It as far as, I call it a busy track, but the streets is really, really fun to run in a setup cart. It's easy for the front. What's that?
Has that been repaved?
Yes, it has been repaved. And it's been confirmed to me that it's been repaved. Todd Cameron went out and did a test day on it. So when he got home, he sent me a text going, and if anybody knows Todd Cameron, it's, dude, you got to go try this track out. It's a blast. So, and then I sent him a thing, says, I'm getting ready to confirm a date there. And, I got a whole bazillion thumbs ups over that one. So.
Buttonwillow, they repaved too, didn't they?
No.
No. Okay. Certain sections.
Buttonwillow is putting in another 2.5 mile course. And it's supposed to be done, they told me sometime in June, but we'll have to see. So Buttonwillow will have 2.5 mile road courses there. So, and that just goes to show how much demand there is right now for for track time on the big tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, that place always seems busy.
Always.
Yeah, actually, David would know because you're down there all the time.
Thunderhill right now has the 3 mile course. It has the east course, the west course, has 2 skid pads, and then it has some type of little dirt rally type thing. They have 1,002 events booked on their facility for 2022.
Wow.
On everything that they have there. That's a lot of stuff going on track. And so there's something going on at Thunderhill every day.
Wow.
Well, that's how they pay the bill.
Well, of course, that's how they pay the bill. But there is such a high demand on the tracks. So we'll use Thunderhill, the 3 mile track, for example. There's only 52 race weekends in a year. But out of the 52, there's only 40 available to the public, which is us, the clubs. And then out of that 40, there's 300 organizations fighting for days on the weekends. And pretty much if you don't come in and buy an entire weekend, they won't even talk to you.
Yeah.
Sonoma has gone down that road now. You can't buy just a day now. You've got to buy the entire weekend. Buttonwillow and Willow Springs is a little different. I wish they'd repaved the big track at Willow Springs, because then I'd take us back down there. But that's not repaved, so it's too rough right now. Rumors are that, and I keep getting people calling and telling me that's in the know, that Reno Fernley will be back online by the end of summer.
Okay. That'll be exciting news for the NorCal region.
And if Reno Fernley comes back online, for those that ran Reno Fernley back in the day, it will be the lower 2 mile track or 2.2 mile track, but it'll be the lower one. A new group bought it and they are going to pave it. So once that's paved, then, and if all the rumors are true, then we're going to go back to Reno Fernley, because that was my next favorite track after Thunderhill.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, Reno Fernley was a blast track, but until I see it, then it's only a dream right now. So,
all right, David Jones, is your road race experience limited to Thunderhill West?
Thunderhill, but honestly, I'm looking forward to BW since it's close, and pretty much know a lot of teammates are going to be going to that one, so it should be a real fun event.
Yeah. Now, have you done any track days and cars at Buttonwillow?
Yeah, I have. That's why I know the track. It'll be fun with a cart. That's for sure.
Yeah, so you're looking forward to that. You might have a little bit of an advantage for a rookie then.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. And then
We're going clockwise or counterclockwise on the track, Mark?
Yeah.
We're going to run clockwise.
Good.
Yep. Then I might have an advantage. Only done.
And then you never
clockwise.
ran Streets of Willows, correct?
I haven't, no.
No.
So I'm looking forward to that one too, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, you'll enjoy both of them. So for the July 3rd race, we'll be able to move in on the 2nd. So on the 2nd that night, we're going to have a barbecue, little 4th of July party type thing.
Nice.
And we're out in the middle of the desert. So bring all your fireworks.
Nice.
That'd be a good time, man.
You know, so we can only get in trouble once, so we might as well do it there, right? So we're gonna do a little barbecue because there's really nothing in town wise, you know, in Rosemont to stay. So most of the people will come in with their RVs and stuff. But we'll do a barbecue that night and a bunch of bench racing, and if I can get enough interest in it down there, we'll also put a word out to all the Southern California people. We'll do a swap meet there because there's a lot of stuff in LA that's for sale. So maybe we can get them out there. What else are we going to have going on? So it should be a fun weekend that particular weekend because we're pretty much open 24 hours down there.
Okay, Mark, repeat that weekend. What track and what dates?
July 3rd at the Streets of Willows.
Yep.
On July 2nd, we can move in July 2nd.
Yep.
If there's somebody on the track, we can't get in there until probably like 4:00.
Yeah.
But that evening, we will do some type of barbecue. A bench race party, fireworks, you know, if anybody brings them, unless they tell us we can't do it. And then
Bring it up.
I want to try to set up put a flyer out to the Southern California people about doing a swap meet there
Okay.
and get that going.
So that's going to be that July 2nd, 3rd weekend at Streets
Right.
of Willow.
The race is on the 3rd. Because it's going to be a little warm, so we're going to try to stretch the day out as long as the track will let me stretch time out, and we'll maybe try to start a little early. So for those that are showing up early and you want to be competitive, get your competitor shit-faced or drunk the night before, and you'll know you'll beat him, which is known to happen a couple times. But we want to turn it into just a fun weekend. The legend guys, they're already looking for it. There's going to be a few guys come up from the south just to run it. So it'll be interesting to watch them. They'll be interesting to watch all year because a lot of this is new to them. So
Very cool. Todd Baker.
Yeah.
What about you? Your favorite track?
I haven't driven the 250. I guess I would say Buttonwillow. I finished really high in the IKF, the national event there, the 2nd, a 3rd, and 2/4 in my 125. So it's probably my best weekend, but I haven't been back to the track in such a long time. I don't really know. I do like Thunderhill East, the longer track. I just got to get better at it.
Kerry Matthews is chiming in. Mr.
Yeah,
Baker and I had a great race in the rain and snow in the 125s at RFR. So
yeah, Reno.
RFR
Year
would be what?
we
Reno
went there,
Friendly?
and it was nice the day before. Me and my girlfriend headed home, and they sent pictures, and anybody who left their go-kart out had like 6 inches of snow on it the next morning.
Oh.
We raced on a Saturday, and they went back Sunday to pick their stuff up and race, and it was covered in snow.
was that at Reno?
Yeah, I was already headed home. I was actually stuck in Reno. I couldn't get on 80 to go home, so we just
I
pulled
had
in.
people that wanted to race that day.
Yeah, exactly. I said we had to wait until we actually woke up at like 3 a.m, and she got a text that said the 80 was open. Got in the truck and got the hell out of there as soon as possible. But it was fun. I also wanted to chime in something Larry brought up, and all the different engines in that class. The manufacturers still sell drivers. So if you've got one sitting in the garage or road tax, buy a driver for the front of it. That's all you got to change, and you'll get the right ratio. You can go out and play with it. So the road taxis that were sidelined when Rock came around, and I like the Rock series. Don't get me wrong, but even the Rock sells a gear that's big enough on the front to drive almost any. Get a good ratio so you can run the bigger tracks. You don't have to change anything up. It's the same body work. There's no fancy fairings and stuff you buy. The classes are structured to the people who have it's called the Hagar fairing, a bigger front nose piece. Mm-hmm. Those groups all have to run together, but the body work that comes on a sprint chassis, there's a class built for that, so there's no advantage to having the bigger parts and pieces. So if you got one sitting around and it's collecting dust, blow the dust off of it, put a different gear on the front of it, a driver, and go for it.
And the Honda is an 1819 front driver, so
yes. So yeah, a stock Honda engine, if you go any bigger than 19, you can put a 20 on there, but the chain gets really close to the case. I can testify to it with a JB weld that's on one of mine, but you can space it out a little bit and make it work. But yeah, you can get a 1922 or 23 at the Thunderhill East track is perfectly fine for my size. Somebody else might run an 1822 or something. And a little bit less weight, but going to run quicker. But.
Yeah, I noticed that Andre Nck.
Yep.
Yeah, he wanted to know what the grid sizes are of the tag classes. They could be as high as 18. Average is usually around 10 to 12. Usually, and we're running 3 races per day. They're spread out where you have plenty of time. So, but that's usually about what it is.
So at the end of the day, you're going to put on 100 miles on your cart easily, 100 miles a day.
Sure doesn't feel like it though. It goes quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does go quick. Yeah. So Andre, I hope that gets your question answered for you. Average of 10, sometimes up to 18 or 20. And that's specifically for the tag road racing classes.
Yeah.
And there's an all-you-can-race. If you can bring carts that'll qualify or can run in any race group, you could run back-to-back. We've had people hop out of one, not hold the grid up, but hold the grid. They'll hop out of the cart before they weigh at the scales and hop in a cart for the next group. So Mark's got the schedule set up, so it's user friendly. If you have a couple that you think, hey, I can't run back to back, we'll make time for you to get in that next group if you go right back out after them. And if you've got I'm a little too old for that, but if you got the stamina to run 2 back-to-back 20-minute races, feel free.
Yeah, road racing is really kicked back compared to sprint racing.
Yeah.
As far as they give you plenty of time to do anything you need to do. Really, it's not catastrophic, but no, it's a lot more laid back than it is sprint racing. It's one reason I stopped sprint racing was because the equipment gets tore up. You can run an older cart in road racing, a 20-year-old cart. You can still be competitive with it as long as you know how to set it up and get the right gearing for it and stuff.
And everybody in the group will help out. If you come out there and you have questions, friendly parts you need, I've lent stuff to people right and left, and it works out fine. You do normally need to be able to work on your own stuff. Like Jason had mentioned, I help Brown White Racing out because some of those guys have mechanics because they don't work on their own stuff. When you road race, you usually have to fix your own stuff. But if you can bring a mechanic out, more power to you. But normally everybody works on their own stuff, which is you can ask questions and people will help out. So it's not
one thing I can suggest is please everybody that's been in the club for a while, get a notebook and write the suggestions down that the racers give you to do so you don't have to ask those same questions every race. Okay.
Hey, I got some timers. It's my problem, not anyone else.
Yeah.
No names now.
No.
Well, and that's why I think one thing that should be stressed too about the road racing environment. If you're a sprinter like myself or like David Jones, it's kind of almost like a little bit of a culture shock because
a little bit.
You guys are on schedule. You have a plan for the day, etc. But it's still so laid back, and maybe David can attest to this. I felt the most kind of worked up during the open practice because it was a 2.5 hour session.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we got to go out, make a change, do something, go back out. And by the time I was done with practice, I was whooped. I mean, I already felt my arm pump kicking in. My muscles were cramping.
Yeah.
And I had to start thinking about when I was going to race. Am I going to do the first race or the second race? Am I only going to do one race or do all 3? I didn't know what I was going to do. And at the end of the day, I ended up doing, I think I did 2 races at the end of the day. And then McNeil jumped in my cart for the third one. And I went home and I was whooped. It's like, man, now there's plenty of track time for me.
It's a lot. It's
That's another
more
advice.
than enough.
Some advice I can give you too is, since I'm older and we take it for granted when we're younger, we think we can get through certain situations physically, but I highly recommend for everybody that's racing, I don't care what the racing is, do cardio at least to so you lose up your stamina. You cannot simulate driving a go-kart 3 times 20-minute races a day and not be sore the next day or the day after. So that's all part of it too. But the more, if you're lifting weights and stuff like that, that'll help out more. But cardio is the most important part. You don't want to be sucking air, halfway through the race. It just takes the fun out of it. You want to have fun.
Definitely keep the endurance, and if you have the capability, train the neck muscles for those G forces.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, you have the person that in the group or at road racing who just makes sure there's fuel in the cart and air in the tires, and that's all they do. Go out and turn some laps, which is, hey, more power to you. That's how that can always be. I try to get it set up like Jay said. You try to go through practice and go, okay, I got what I got. Let's just, and when Larry said you put a wheel off, usually it's multiple wheels that go off when you're at the road race. But
you yanks the steering wheel when you get a wheel off. That's for sure.
Yeah, that causes you to pull other wheels off at the same time. So, but.
So Maxfield chiming in with his 125 gearbox cart. He typically burns to 5 to 7 gallons of gas in his normal race day.
If he did all 3 of the 125 ones, yes. Yeah, that'd be about right.
And that's pretty much average for most of the shifter carts, regardless. Is 5 to 7 gallons of fuel. Tag guys probably 5 most.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, right in there. So.
Has anybody checked out the prices of our fuel that we've been running since we haven't been running for several months? Has it gone up?
It was the pump was broken when we were at Thunderhill just the other day on a Saturday for practice, and it was still $9.99 a gallon.
Okay.
But you couldn't buy it, so it didn't matter how much it was.
It was roughly between $65 and $75 for a 5-gallon pail, of race fuel.
Are you running C12 or which fuel?
The MS98.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
the tags run a little different fuel than we ran.
Gotcha.
Or they used to.
Our fuel for the 125s must be leaded fuel, no oxygenated fuel allowed, because we were getting guys that were getting into the $200 pail of fuel and that type of thing, and then the stuff is stunk. And when people start spending high dollars for fuel, then the little slower guy's going, I gotta buy it. And
but
when they're melting the holes in the piston, they don't last that long.
Yeah, I think the 4-strokes are limited, aren't they? They can run pump gas, but nobody else can run pump gas because of the oxygenation in the fuel.
Right. So, but usually we try to control the fuel and stuff. I call it yellow dot racing because somebody puts a yellow dot on their cart and they go faster than the next person wants the yellow dot. So we try to control fuel. You can run any brand fuel you want, but we will test it. So it's got to fall in this magic range. So and we prefer people to buy track fuel. The track wants us to buy track fuel, but when all the carters show up, if they buy 100 gallons of gas amongst everybody, that's a big fuel sale for us.
Yeah.
So we just try to everybody, play nice on the stuff.
Well, your son just chimed in and said that Dave Morrison anyway said that Sunoco Optima is $73 for a 5-gallon pail.
Oh, he lied to me.
Well, he charged you
extra. That's what I've been using.
Yeah, that's not what he charges you, Mark. That's what he sells it to us for. You get the special bad rate.
And then also tires. We're on an open tire rule.
Yeah.
We don't run any brand tire. Not like some tire manufacturer wants to come in and do something spectacular, but we run open tires. So if you got MGs, you got Hoosiers, you got chocolate donuts to
Maxis, Mark, say Maxis.
Got to break it out now.
Matter.
Where's that
So,
shot?
So tires have always been open. Another thing we do is we do rain race. A lot of people don't do that, but for the amount of what the road courses cost us to rent, we run rain or shine. So if we were up in the Pacific Northwest, they run more wet races than they do dry races. So most everybody has wet tires, and then it's the driver's choice, to get there. So it's really critical that we get more people to support the club and run the club and that type of thing. So we just keep growing.
If you got carts sitting in the garage, they haven't been running in a while, bring them out. There's a class. We'll find a class for you to run in. Right, Mark?
Yes. We
Jason
have
a trailer full. Talk to him.
we actually
Talk
have
to you.
36 different classes that you can put a cart in. And we try to find a place, and if you've got one that's not one of the 36, we can still make sure we find a place for you to run for the day. We had a guy show up at Thunderhill East with the 4-stroke that come out, I don't know, 15 years ago, that thought it was going to be the new tag motor.
Oh, is it the Beland
The
or
Beland or Byron motor or something like that?
Yeah. No, you're talking about Buttonwillow, where the guy came out with a tag that was twice as big or 3 times bigger. This is the biggest tag motor ever produced.
Oh,
And he was
vampire
blown
engine.
by us like we're standing still.
Maxfield saying it was a vampire engine.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we had a guy show up at the last race with a 4-stroke that was designed for tag. I can't think of what it was, but it was the Byland motor.
Vampire. Maxfield says a vampire engine.
They run that in Europe. I talked to the guy. He said they run that thing in Europe a while back.
So there wasn't actually a place to put him, so we put him in a class. So
There you go. Okay, let's move on.
run what you run.
So let's talk about instead of talking about the 900 different engines people can run and this 4-stroke, no one knows what it's called. What is your minimum age to run road racing?
It depends.
Short, simple answer. 14, 15, 12.
It's right now it's 16, except
Okay.
for 2 tracks.
Okay.
Buttonwillow is 12.
Okay.
Willow Springs is 12.
Will you put a 12-year-old on the track at Buttonwillow or Willow Springs as NCK?
Yeah, but I have to put them in their own run group.
Okay.
I can't mix them with any other cart.
So Thunderhill 16.
Yeah. To make it simple, I like
Willow and Willow Springs would be 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But with insurance, if he's a true minor, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, I have to have them run their own separate race. I can't mix them with any other group.
Okay.
So we would have to figure out, are they going to get 3 races? Probably
junior
not.
dads out there, if you want your kid to go road racing and you're a junior dad, grab 15 of your best friends and their kids, and Mark will create you a class.
Perfect.
But you need 15.
But
Like
if
a
there's
run with your
a
phone.
show up, I'll make sure that they get on the track for a little track time.
Yeah.
But just the way the insurances are, and now that it's the tracks that are dictating the age, it's not my insurance.
Well, and the reason I ask is because we're having Carter kids that have talked about doing some road race stuff. They can't get on the track, but you'll see them at Buttonwillow next weekend at 12, 13 years old in a car.
Yeah. And
so the question kind of comes up quite a bit.
It's so Sonoma is 16, Thunderhill 16, Laguna Seca is 18 in Karts.
Yeah, well, we're not going there this year, so we don't have to worry about it.
For a long time, probably. It's just the costs are just way prohibitive.
Okay.
But if we go to Reno Fernley, if that ever comes back online, then we can bring in the junior program again. I
We
would
do
love to
family and friends.
show up.
What is the age at Reno Fern Lake?
It will probably be 12 and up there as well.
Okay.
Mark, are we doing family and friends if we can?
Right now, it doesn't look like it the way the schedule is going to work out with the Legends cars.
Okay.
Because now we have 3 run groups. We're going to have 4 run groups in the future. Because we can't mix the Legends with the go-karts.
Yeah.
They have to have their own run group as well. Because I don't think a guy wants to tangle with a 1,200-pound car in a sprint cart.
No, not really.
No, even if you're trying to pass him. So, and so I'll be announcing the actual schedule here next week of what the runs are.
Oh, the run groups.
Yeah, as far as the run times, the groups are still going to be the same as far as our 3 groups go. Now there'll be the 4th group, which would be the Legends cars. So the day structure, when we rent racetracks, we have the track from 6 in the morning to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, but we're only allowed to be on the track from 9 to 5 with an hour break in the middle. So I only have X amount of hours to do all this. So, and it's trying to get everybody enough track time to satisfy the amount of money that the entry fees are. So,
are the Legends running the same amount of time as we are on the track?
Yep.
Okay.
They are another class in our organization. They're not a separate. They're not a separate group like we do. You know, if we do things with the Shelby Club and stuff, the Legends cars will be part of NCK. There'll be a class for them.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Yes. So
I think David and I are thinking the same thing. We're going to figure out how to do an arrive and drive in a Legend.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, I've never seen one of those, but the sounds of it, I don't know.
I fell in love with them when I seen them run Willow Springs.
Yep.
With 1,300, 1,500 cc motorcycle engines in them, and they're upshifting going down that straightaway, and then go into the turn. It was just an awesome sound, and they handled really. They're independent suspension. Well, the front is, the rear is a live axle going across. So, but it's a suspended car, roll cage,
sealed motors too.
Sealed motors. And their minimum weight's 1,200 pounds. So
wow.
But they are a blast to watch. But they're just as intrigued now about the go-karts.
Well, it's good to have that cross-pollination going on, because then it's
definitely,
you know, their families and friends are going to be introduced to karts and vice versa. The karting's, you know, side's going to be introduced to the Legends. So I'm looking forward to it. When you sent me the schedule a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at it, and then when the Team Visalia guys were all, you know, chatting it up on their text line, it was like, man, you know what? I need to add all 4 races to my calendar this year, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope.
I've always wanted to try Streets of Willow.
The Streets of Willow, like I said, it's a fun track, and it's freshly paved this year. So for our membership, a lot of them's never been to Buttonwillow or Willow Springs as far as the streets go. So this is a new experience for a lot of our current members. And for us older members, it's still a newer experience because we forgot what it was like.
Is there videos out there for the streets so karters
There
can?
is. Which probably have
look up like Scusa did a couple of Streets of Willow races.
Yes,
for the Pro
that's
Kart
right.
Challenge.
They did, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. So there's videos out there of the streets. So it's going to be a good deal. Like I said, I'm still working on some type of spring date, but I don't have anything to say Yahoo yet. So that's nothing. And then next week we'll have our entry. We'll be able to start entering Thunderhill on the 1st of February.
Okay.
We're in the process of updating our website right now. So if you look at our website, it ended in October. So Nothing's up to date on our website, but most of the information we post out on Facebook. Seems more people keep up with that than they do the website. And if you want to be added to our email list, and if you have an MSR account, which is Motorsports Reg, you can link your account to NCK and automatically be added to our mailing list. And we do all our registration through Motorsports Reg. So if you don't have an account, you can open one up. It's free. You can put all your card information in it, in a garage. It's all there. And then, because we use the whole system for entries, we use it to populate our scoring system. Everything is done through MSR. So it's a good back office tool for us. So, and it makes it simple for everybody else to enter. So that's how we transmit most of our information. And then through Jason hosting us once in a while over his media outlets, that's how we spread the word about road racing in California.
And if you're a road racer out there, start posting your videos if you have them on YouTube. Share them to the NorCal Karters channel, and just get the word out there. It's kind of it's a very unique environment. It's a lot of fun. The videos are fun to watch. Mark, we're going over an hour here, so I'm gonna let you wrap up your part, and then I'll slowly close out with everybody else.
All righty. Well, thank you for hosting this, Jason. This is a new experience for all of us, I believe, doing live talk.
I'm surprised you had a video camera, actually.
I'm looking forward to a great 2022 season, and a lot of new things are happening. So come join us. And if you just want to come watch for the day and talk to the drivers and see what's going on, it's open. There's no gate fees there will be a gate fee at Buttonwillow and Willow Springs. Southern Tracks charge a gate fee to get in. But other than that, come watch us. Come talk to the drivers and join us.
Hey, Mark.
And I think you'll like what you see.
Before you close out, can you cover real quick what the entry fees are and how that actually coordinates to the amount of track time you get on the track?
So I can't say what the actual entry fee is yet because I actually have a board meeting tomorrow night to go over that subject. But the entry fee we have one entry fee, and it's we call it all you can race, and that covers your class for the day in practice. If you have a tag cart, you can run that. If you have a shifter cart, you can run that in another class. So if you have carts or your cart fits in multiple run groups, you could literally run 9 races in a day and then go home being an Ironman. So we have that. We will have first time road race program for a person that's never road raced.
Can you sign me up for that?
Yeah, no, you've already been signed up twice now. Juniors or my juniors are 16 and 17-year-olds. They all run for $100. So if you have a 16 or 17-year-old, he can run all you can race program for $100. Or it's $125. It's not $100. So $125. You can bring your 16, 17-year out, and he can run our events. So we try to encourage the younger people to come out. What am I missing? I think that's about it. But we'll have all the fees and stuff posted by the end of the week on our website and through Facebook and that type of thing.
Okay. And there you have it. That's Mark Morrison, president of NCKRoadRacing.com. And then who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right, Larry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate this, Jason. It really opens up the window for everybody to see, get some more information from all the different parties that are involved. It's a good way. First time I've ever been involved in this. I was, kind of wondering how it was going to work out and stuff because I've never done it before. So I appreciate the fact that you offered this, Jason, and hopefully we'll do it again, throughout the year. I have no problem with chiming in.
No, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the more I go road racing, the more fun it is. And again, just trying to get the word out there. It's another way to help grow karting.
Yeah,
It's a
well, it's
different segment, but
yeah, like David, I hadn't met him before. It gives me a way of seeing who he is and what class he was participating in.
Yeah.
Todd I've known for a while, but yeah, it gets people closer together.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I lost the bet. I said the over under on you mentioning Maxxis tires was going to be, I think I said 4 or 5. You didn't say Maxxis tires once.
No, but all I had to do is just this,
Yeah. So I'm out $10.
Who's that going to?
I guess it has to go to you.
Yeah, put it in your fund, your video
There you
fund.
All right, Larry, thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome, Jason.
Let's see. Who wants to go next, Todd or David?
Go for it, Todd.
Todd Baker.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the NorCal Classified here for having us on tonight. As Mark had mentioned, and I'll chime in again, there's several karting teams up in Sonoma that will do a ride and drive. Ron White will do it. Rob Soares. I think Gary would probably set something up. Carlton. So if somebody's interested in maybe doing something of that nature, maybe one of the guys will be at a race somewhere and the other ones won't. So there's not just one. There's opportunities to do a ride and drives with other people as well. So reach out to them, see what they would charge. I had Ron set up to do one a while back, but we had to. He was going to be out of town at a big event, so we would have had to transport the carts for him. Whereas Rob brought him out because he didn't have anybody going to that event. So there's other venues to look into if you want to try it out and maybe not take your chassis out there and just try it with somebody else. They usually just give you a good set of tires and you pay for any crash damage that you would acquire. Hopefully there isn't any, but it would come with fuel, tires, and the engine, and have some fun with it.
And that's a good point. Maybe I need to get a couple of those shops on board and have them talk to the arrive and drive programs and again renting the carts and checking it out. Because I know Rob had a couple of guys at the last race, and it's a great way to get people converted, or at least just to try it out.
He had a couple. He has a gentleman that flies out. One of the guys flies himself in, Clinton. I don't know his last name.
Clinton Shumby.
And then he has who else was it? The guy. His name's Todd. I don't know his last name. He flies out from Texas. So he he came to Thunderhill on several occasions and drove. He did the. Excuse me. He came to Thunderhill twice. And he did the speed base. He flew into there as well because I took him back to the airport. So, like I said, the opportunities are out there. If you're happen to be watching this from out of state, that might be the easiest way to is do an arrive and drive because you don't have to transport your equipment. All you got to do is get your helmet, your suit out there, and you can have some fun and go from there. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, I got a friend of ours that does races with Ron, flies out from Missouri all the time to do this. He came out and did a road race with us at Laguna Seca. So he just has a cart out here. He's got the funds to have one here permanently. He just has it set up, and when he just shows up in the carts there and drives it. So we should all be so lucky, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So very cool. Todd Baker, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And then David Jones.
All right. Jason, I want to say thanks for having me on. Also, thank you to NCK for doing the road racing. Otherwise, I don't know of any other opportunities to do it. And just for the sprint racers out there, give it a try. It's like Jason and I were talking earlier, it is a culture shock. It's much different, which is actually enjoyable. Then I feel like it gives you just a different perspective of karting. Like, not everything's going to apply to sprint, but you're bound to pick up something that you can apply, like the speed differences. You're going to look at sprint racing as being a little slower in terms of top speed. And to me, the perspective, I don't know, I feel like it helped my sprint racing in a way.
That's some good insight. Thank you, David Jones, for joining us tonight.
You're welcome, Jason. Thank you.
No problem. And that's going to wrap up our show tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the questions. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to share our channel, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. We're still pushing to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That'll allow us to unlock some more. Mainly the mobile is live mobile is what I want to be able to unlock on YouTube. That way, when we're at the track or at events, we can go live on YouTube and Yeah, so a lot of good things are happening. So thank you again. Check us out on NorCalCarters.com. On Facebook, you can rewatch these videos, and on YouTube.